What up, YouTube? OG Trap Jordan back with another one, and today we're going to talk about the BS with the Jordan 4 fears. So, first things first, right off the rip, I just want to say and admit that I was actually wrong. I was one of the people that thought these were going to sell out. I heard other people saying that they could see these sitting, and I was like, there's no way that these could sit. They're a Jordan 4. It's the holiday season. It's a classic shoe. It's not an OG, but it is a classic. And I don't know. I can't remember the last time where I seen a Jordan 4 actually sit. So it's kind of crazy to me. I'm not in complete disbelief. I think there's a lot of reasons why. There's a lot of factors playing into it. We know that they've been oversaturating a lot with Jordan Brand. We know that Jordan Brand isn't really on top like it used to be. I mean, it's always going to be on top, but it's not like what it was, even though you could see that Jordan Brand next year is clearly trying to make a comeback. But I just feel like, me personally, I don't know, I feel like I gotta admit that I'm kind of being borderline a little bit on some hype beast type shit with these shoes, because I actually did wake up and I actually did go on Sneakers app and I actually did catch that W. And it's not really like me to do something like this, but I turned around and I canceled my order. Now, yeah, it does kind of have to do with the fact that they're not really selling out, which for me to admit that is kind of hard because I'm so anti-hype beast. But I don't think that was the only factor. I mean, the fact is that this year I've gotten almost every shoe that I've wanted on my list. And this is probably the first year where I've ever done that, where almost every shoe that I wanted I actually copped, except for with the exception of the Wu-Tang Dunks, which I'm still kind of on the fence about that. I might still turn around and grab those, but there's a lot of factors why I didn't want to grab these. Well, I did want to grab them, but there's a lot of factors why I canceled it. Number one, there's still some releases coming out this year that I really want to get. I just ended up accidentally hitting 2 pairs of size 11 on the black cement 3s the other day, so I don't even know what I'm doing with that other pair. I'm actually thinking about maybe a giveaway, but stay tuned for that, because I was supposed to do a giveaway on that before, and then I ended up doing a wet cement because I didn't really know what was going to happen with this release and everything. But now I have 2 pairs, so we'll see. I'm not promising nothing, but that might end up being on a giveaway. But another factor is that I've already got these right here, the White Thunders, and it's not the same, but it is a black and white 4, and I've got several black 4s sitting back here, and I don't know how many pairs of black 4s do I really need. And I mean, these go with just about anything, and I'm sure the Fears would too, and I really do like the Fears, I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, I'm really surprised that they sat, but I'm not surprised that they sat, because there's so much coming out next year. There's still a lot of hot releases coming out. We still have the Columbia 11s. We still have the actual release of the black cement 3s, which I think plays in a big factor why these Fears didn't sell out, along with the fact that these already came out. We got some Travis Scotts coming out, and we got some other random releases, and then we're going right into next year, and we got a whole bunch of heat. But with this release and it being a 4 and it being close to the holidays, it's surprising to me, but it makes me just wonder, like, how bad is Jordan Brand getting oversaturated? And are people just gonna get tired of it? Is it gonna get played out? Like, next year there's a lot of really hot releases, there's a lot of OGs, there's a lot of coveted releases, there's some collabs, there's just like, the slate is full for next year, and there's a lot of anticipation, and it feels like a lot of hype. And it just makes me wonder if there's gonna be a lot of shoes tanking next year. I mean, I know there's gonna be some that are just like guaranteed sellouts, but I mean, just thinking about it, it's like a lot of things get hyped up. Like, for instance, these 4s, like, these were kind of coveted. Like, people really like the Fear 4s. It's been a long time. I don't remember what the original release date was on those, but I've seen a lot of this happen in the last few years, where there's a shoe that people really want and people talk about, and they're like, bring those back, and then they come back, and then they're sitting in stores. Still, like I said, for a 4 to be sitting like this is kind of surprising, but not surprising, because they're overdoing it, and that's what Jordan Brand does. When they see something is doing really well, they just overdo it and overdo it, which is actually the opposite of why I think Jordan Brand used to be successful, because the releases used to be so far in between, so few and far and in between, that it was like, okay, it's time to re-up on these. It's been a long time since those came out. I used to have these when I was a kid, etc., so on, so on. But it's not really like that. Now it's just like bam, 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 just giving us back-to-back bangers, which are starting to feel oversaturated, and people might be getting kind of tired of it. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next year with all these releases that Jordan Brand and Nike is putting out. It feels like there's a lot of hype, but then at the same time, it's like, is hype going to keep selling things, or are people just going to be like fizzling out on the hype and it's not going to work anymore? I really feel like Jordan Brand does need to change their tactics a little bit. And the funny thing about this is I anticipated these to actually have a fake sellout. I even had an idea for a video ready for that, which now I have to completely change that, obviously. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't even have every pair loaded up and they were ready to fake sell these, but nobody went after them. And now they've probably got a whole bunch of these sitting. So with that being said, I do want to prepare you guys for next year that I don't think it's going to be so many fake sellouts next year. I think that a lot of the pairs that are coming out are going to be more limited, and I think people are going to be a little bit surprised when they think some of these are going to be sitting and some of them are going to sell out. But then I think it's going to be a lot of releases like this too, where it's just going to fizzle out once the hype dies out and the shoe actually releases. I mean, I wonder if next year Jordan Brand ain't gonna be kind of like the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, where we were all hyped up and then we just got a big nothing at the end, no payout, just big disappointment. They're coming out with so many shoes next year. It's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. But maybe it's not going to be that interesting. I don't know. We'll see. Only time will tell. Only the future knows, or only God knows. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the future holds. But I don't know. I'm still really excited about a lot of releases next year. But this shoe was kind of a disappointment for me, and it's kind of a glimpse, in my opinion, of what we could be seeing. But who knows? They got a new CEO at Nike, and maybe he's going to make some changes. I actually anticipate a lot of these shoes that we see coming out next year to actually not even come out. I think some of these are going to get canceled. There's already been pushback so far, and they keep pushing back, but then they keep announcing more. But I could actually see a lot of these getting pushed back, a lot of these getting canceled. I could see a lot of these stuff just rolling over into the next year, or just never even coming out for a while. But we'll see what happens. I do think that Nike and Jordan Brand need to scale back. They need to put out less pairs, which is crazy, because when they do put out less pairs and we can't get them, you know how it goes. We all complain and we want more pairs, and then when they do give us plenty of pairs, we don't get them, which is a whole crazy psychology of a sneakerhead and how the sneaker game works. And it shows why Jordan Brand was making releases limited for a long time, and this is clearly an example of why they did that. And because they're giving us a whole bunch of pairs, and then now we're not buying them, and then we're acting like these shoes ain't shit because we can get them, which is crazy. And I'm a victim of that. Actually, I'm guilty of that. I just did that today with the Fears, but like I said, there was more than just that factor, more than just the lack of hype. There was also the fact that there's a whole bunch of releases still coming out. I bought so many shoes this year. I can't keep breaking my pockets like that. I got to keep it real. I'm not rich, and it is ridiculous to just keep spending my money on these shoes, especially if there is no value in them, because that used to be my excuse before. It's like, oh, shoes hold their values and they go up in value and stuff like that, and it was like worth it because it's like money in the bank. If anything ever went wrong, I could go ahead and sell my collection or sell a couple of these shoes, which is still true, but not to the extent as it used to be. And I've never really been a reseller. Every time I've resold shoes, I've always really kind of regretted it later on. But that's pretty much it. I just want to say that this is the BS with the Jordan 4 Fear, and it doesn't really necessarily mean when I say the BS. It's kind of a little segment that I've been doing lately, and they're doing kind of well. But when I say the BS with a certain shoe, it doesn't mean that the shoe is bullshit. It's just me bullshitting about the shoe. It just means I'm going to talk about the shoe. I'm going to give my opinion, because I've had a couple of videos lately where I talk about a shoe and then I put that title on there, the BS with whatever shoe, and then people tell me that they're not watching the video in the comments without telling me that they're not watching the video in the comments when they get on there and they're saying, oh no, you're crazy, these are fire. Listen, I'm not saying that these shoes aren't fire. These shoes are super dope, and maybe if they go on sale, which it looks like they could, I'll probably still cop my pair. But for right now, I'm gonna save a little money and we're gonna get into these releases that are coming up. There's some Travis Scott's, I'm not going for the Columbias, but there are a few other pairs on my list that I'm gonna grab, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the year, and we'll see what happens next year. Until next time, I'm OG Trap Jordan. This has been the BS with the Fear 4s, and I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.